Greetings, everyone. Hello. It was a tad uncomfortable, wasn't it? That silence I just put you all through. It probably made you wonder, hey, is everything all right? Is something wrong? It probably made you want to take your phones out and start scrolling. Isn't it just amazing how my not saying anything inspired so many feelings? That, my dear audience, is the power of silence. And that is where my story begins. In today's world, the internet has reached so many places that we've come to expect it just about anywhere. We'll go check in into our latest resort, our newest so-called escape from our normal lives, only to ask a single question the minute we see the receptionist. What's the Wi-Fi password? To be fair, I'm no different. If I don't see at least 3 bars of connection on the top of my phone, I start getting a little anxious. Heaven forbid I lose connection altogether and miss out on another dopamine-ridden conversation with my friends. That's the point I'm trying to make here today. This connectivity brought on by the internet has become so deeply woven into our minds that we've come to get really uncomfortable when it goes away. Speaking from personal experience here. Once I was messaging a friend. We were exchanging messages, my fingers flying over the laptop keyboard. Nothing unusual about that. When I sent him a joke, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, he just stopped responding. And well, I saw that I'd last sent him a joke, and he stopped responding. And I put two and two together. And I reasoned that I had offended him with that joke, and he didn't want to talk to me anymore. So, being me, I began to beat myself up over it. Sudwit, you've offended your dearest friend with a dumb joke. Great job. And I apologized profusely to him. Until, as suddenly as when he had gone, he came back, 20 or so minutes later, and sent a single sentence to me. I opened our chat, expecting to read a message proclaiming the end of our friendship. But instead, I read a more mundane sentence. Sudwit, it began. My phone's battery had died. And then, half a minute or so afterwards, in response to a joke that I was so worried about, lol. You see, we often underestimate silence because we just do. And sometimes we really struggle to understand what silence means. When we're talking face to face, it becomes easy to understand which emotions are being expressed because you have no end of visual cues to go off of. Facial expression, body language, hand gestures. But when you're talking to someone online, when you're separated by touch screens and several kilometers, that becomes much more difficult. For example, behind me, you're going to see 3 faces, all right? And we're going to try a little something. So, the first face. You can tell that face, that person's really happy about something, right? And now for the second one. Now that person's really mad. Now, telling by the facial cues, you could tell easily, right? But when there's just a black screen, there's nothing to go off of. You just can't tell what emotions are being expressed here. Yet this is what we face when we're talking to someone online. When all we have to go off of for understanding emotion is just capitalized letters and punctuation marks. When we're talking to someone online, it becomes tremendously easy to misinterpret silence, just like I had with my friend. Well, Again, silence is really important when we're trying to say something. Silence can add on to a message, just like when a teacher walks into a noisy classroom and glares at everyone yelling. The silence that walks in with her is a command in itself. But perhaps even more importantly, silence can be a superlative. When you're in an argument with screaming and shouting, those kinds of arguments are bad, sure. But when it becomes a staring contest with clenched fists, that's when I'm going to be dialing 112. Again, we often underestimate silence and we fail to give it the credit it's due because it's literally the absence of saying something. And when you run out of things to say, it's again silence. Silence is, well, especially in the digital era, silence is anger and frustration because no one is willing to stop and listen to what it is you have to say. And often ego and wounded pride because no one is willing to stop and listen to what the other person wants to say. Silence is having so many thoughts to speak, but not saying a single word because you think no one's going to understand. Silence is, well, there you have it. Silence is not knowing what silence itself means because it means so many things. Now, say I break a glass vase and I knock it off her table. My mother's going to be really mad at me. And then she'll yell at me. I'll understand that she's mad. But then in a day or two, I'll forget that she's trying to tell me to be more careful. But later on, say instead of yelling at me, she just looks me in the eyes and then looks at the glass fragments on the floor. Then the displeasure, it begins to resonate within me. It spurs me into going, taking the broom and to start sweeping everything into a corner myself. Silence is really powerful when it's used to add on to a message. So let me end by saying this. The next time your stream of thought gets interrupted by another notification sound, or you curse under your breath over how messages keep interrupting your workflow, take a moment. Take out your phone, put it on silent, and put it away in a corner somewhere. Find a nice cozy chair to just sink into, and then close your eyes and listen. Take in all the sounds that otherwise you would have missed. Otherwise, you would have just blocked out. And then, perhaps most important of all, smile. Smile because sometimes the most powerful things that you can do is to remain silent. Thank you.